John Parker opened his eyes slowly. The first thing he noticed was the soft, warm glow of light around him. He felt weightless, like he was floating slightly. Yet the surface beneath him was firm and smooth. He blinked several times, trying to focus, but everything seemed strange. Nothing looked familiar. His body felt stiff, but not in pain. Instead, it was as if he had slept for weeks. "Where am I?" he muttered to himself. His voice sounded rough in his own ears, as if he hadn't spoken in days. Then he saw her. A figure stood at the edge of the medbed. She had skin that shimmered slightly, almost translucent, and her eyes reflected colors that John could not name. There was something human about her shape, but not quite. She moved with a grace that seemed natural yet impossible. "You are awake," she said, her voice gentle and melodic. It carried a calm that seemed to reach into John's mind directly. "You talked in your sleep." John's eyes widened. "I talked in my sleep? Who are you?" His heart beat faster. Panic and confusion mixed with curiosity. "I am Lyra," she replied, smiling faintly. "You were rescued. You are safe now." John's mind raced. Rescued? Safe? Nothing made sense. He tried to remember how he had ended up here, but the memory was fragmented. He remembered being on his ship, monitoring a distant star system. Then, a sudden surge of energy, alarms blaring, the ship shaking violently, and nothing. He looked around the room. The walls were smooth and curved, glowing faintly from embedded lights. Strange symbols floated mid-air, showing information he could not understand. The bed beneath him adjusted subtly as he moved, as if sensing his weight. Everything was alive, or at least responsive. "You are on a spacecraft," Lyra said, reading his thoughts before he could voice them. "Your ship was damaged by a nebula storm. We brought you here to stabilize your condition." John swallowed hard. "Nebula storm, my ship. I don't remember much. How long was I unconscious?" "You were unconscious for several hours. Your body is recovering faster than we expected," Lyra explained. "You are stronger than you realize." John tried to sit up, but the bed gently pressed him back down. "I need to know more. Who are you? What is this place?" Lyra moved closer, her eyes studying him carefully. "I am part of a species called the Orcs. We travel between stars, observing and learning. Your survival interested us. That is why you are here." John's mind spun. "You watched humans? You knew I would crash?" Lyra shook her head. "No. We do not control outcomes. We observe. Sometimes we intervene to preserve life. You were lucky. And capable. That combination is rare." John's thoughts ran wild. Lucky and capable? He had always considered himself an ordinary space explorer, just trying to do his job. Yet here he was, lying on an alien bed, with a being studying him as if he were extraordinary. "Why, me?" he asked softly. "You acted as humans do," Lyra said simply. "Your instincts, your decisions during the storm, these reflect your species' potential. That is why we saved you." John tried to process the words. Humans' potential? He had never thought of himself as significant. And yet, the calm confidence in Lyra's voice made him feel important. Somehow, he looked at her closely. She smiled again, but it was different this time, warmer, almost reassuring. "I know this is overwhelming, but your species has qualities that we admire. Creativity, resilience, the ability to adapt in unexpected circumstances. You survived where others might have perished." John exhaled slowly. His fear began to settle slightly, replaced by curiosity. "Okay. I trust you. I guess. But I need answers. Why me? Why now?" Lyra's gaze softened. "Because your species is remarkable. You are here to witness and to learn. There may be challenges ahead that will test not just you, but all of humanity. You will need to understand yourself and your abilities. That begins now. John felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Challenges? All he had wanted was to explore space, monitor star systems, and return safely to Earth. Yet now, it seemed the universe had other plans for him. Lyra gestured toward a large transparent panel that revealed a breathtaking view of the cosmos. Stars, nebulae, and distant planets stretched endlessly. See this? This is only a small portion of the galaxy we travel through. Life exists in many forms, and not all of it is friendly. Observation teaches us. Preparation saves lives. John stared, awestruck. It's beautiful and terrifying. Lyra nodded. Yes. But humans are different. You face uncertainty, danger, and unpredictability with courage. That is why your survival and potential are valued. John's mind wandered back to the nebula storm. The alarms, the shaking, the panic he had improvised, relied on instinct, and survived. It seemed small compared to the universe he now saw, yet Lyra valued it. You will learn quickly, she said, almost reading his thoughts. Your species' adaptability will serve you well. But first, you must understand your environment. Lyra guided him to stand. The floor beneath them glowed softly, adjusting to his weight. John felt grounded yet light. As if the ship itself welcomed him, he noticed other beings in the corridors, some vaguely humanoid, others completely alien. They moved gracefully, communicating silently, coordinating perfectly without spoken words. This ship, it's alive, isn't it? John asked. His voice tinged with awe. In a way, Lyra replied. We work in harmony with our technology. Observation, adaptation, and learning guide all our actions. You will see more soon. She led him to a chamber where a large holographic display floated mid-air. Stars, planets, and spacecraft formed a three-dimensional map of nearby star systems. John's breath caught. He recognized the layout of his own star system and, further out, a human colony he had been assigned to monitor. That's my colony, John whispered. It's close to the nebula. Lyra's eyes followed his gaze. Yes. The nebula storm that damaged your ship is only one danger. There are more threats beyond what you experienced. Observation is necessary to understand them. John felt a chill run down his spine. The thought of dangers he had never imagined made him realize how small humans really were in the vastness of space. Yet, at the same time, Lyra's words offered hope. Humanity had qualities worth observing and preserving. Why me? John asked again, trying to grasp the importance of his role. Because you reflect your species' strengths, Lyra said simply. Your creativity, courage, and ability to act in chaos, these are rare qualities in the galaxy. You will need them soon. John took a deep breath. He looked out at the galaxy through the chamber's window, feeling a sense of both fear and wonder. Everything he knew about life, space, and survival was being redefined in an instant. Lyra touched his arm lightly. Do not worry. You are not alone. You will have guidance, tools, and support. But your instincts, your human instincts, will guide the final decisions. That is what makes humans remarkable. John nodded slowly. He still felt overwhelmed, but a spark of determination lit within him. This was bigger than any mission he had ever undertaken. He would have to rely on himself, on his intuition, and on his ability to adapt. As night, or what passed for night on this ship, fell, John lay back on the med bed. He stared at the stars beyond the window, imagining Earth, his colleagues, and the colony at the edge of the nebula. The vastness of space no longer seemed intimidating. It seemed full of possibilities, challenges, yes, but also opportunities to prove what humans could do. Lyra watched silently from the corner, her glowing eyes reflecting both pride and hope. John didn't understand fully yet, but he felt a growing connection to this alien species and a sense of purpose he had never known before. The hum of the ship, the soft lights, and the endless stars outside formed a rhythm, a silent promise that humanity's journey was just beginning. And John Parker, once an ordinary explorer, now stood at the threshold of a new chapter, one that would test courage, creativity, and the very essence of being human. He closed his eyes, letting the calm of the moment wash over him. Whatever awaited in the galaxy, he knew one thing. He would face it. Not alone, but with the hope and ingenuity of his entire species behind him. And somewhere nearby, Lyra smiled, knowing that the first step had been taken. Humanity's story among the stars was only beginning. John lay back on the smooth, slightly glowing surface of the medbed, staring at the ceiling panels above him. The light pulsed softly, like it was breathing. Around him, the alien ship hummed with quiet energy, a living machine working in perfect harmony. Lyra, the alien nurse, moved gracefully along the side of the room, adjusting instruments and checking small monitors that seemed to float in midair. "You're awake," Lyra said again, her voice calm, yet carrying a subtle warmth that made John feel safer than he expected. Her eyes, two deep pools of shifting colors, studied him with a kind of intelligence he could feel, rather than just see. "Your body is strong. Faster healing than we expected." John tried to sit up, but the smooth surface of the bed seemed to resist him gently, almost like it wanted him to stay calm. Where am I?" he asked. His voice was hoarse, and he cleared his throat. "What happened to my ship?" Lyra smiled slightly, a gesture that looked almost like a soft wave of light across her skin. "Your ship was damaged by the nebula storm. You were unconscious when we found you. We brought you here to stabilize your condition." John blinked, trying to process. A nebula storm. That explained the last thing he remembered. His ship being buffeted by strange energy waves. Alarms blaring. The sound of metal twisting. Then, nothing. Now, he was lying on what looked like a bed from another world, and beside him was an alien being who didn't speak any language he had ever heard. Except somehow, he understood her perfectly. You speak English?" he asked cautiously. "I speak Common Standard," she replied simply. "The language of many intelligent species." Her eyes shimmered in a way that seemed almost playful. "And yes, I can understand you perfectly." John took a deep breath. "Okay. Thank you, I guess, for saving me." Lyra inclined her head. "Humanity is interesting. Your species has resilience we rarely see elsewhere." "Resilience?" John frowned, his curiosity piqued. "You mean humans are strong?" Lyra's smile widened slightly, though it remained serene. "Not just strong. You adapt. You survive. You create hope where none seems possible. That is rare." John felt a mix of pride and confusion. He wanted to ask more questions. But before he could, Lyra stepped aside, and the room's ceiling opened to reveal a large window. Beyond it was a view of space unlike anything John had ever seen. Stars of every color, nebulae glowing in pinks, blues, and greens, and strange, geometric shapes moving slowly through the darkness. "This is the Aurelus vessel," Lyra said, as if reading his thoughts. "We travel between stars, observing, learning, and sometimes assisting. Your survival interested us. We wanted to see your species up close." John's heart raced. You've been watching humans?" Lyra nodded. "For decades. We did not interfere directly, but we observed. You humans, your creativity, your courage, your capacity for emotion makes you unique. You can make decisions in chaos. You can see possibilities others do not. That is why we rescued you." John's mind spun. "Decades? You mean, all this time, aliens have been watching us?" "Yes," Lyra said simply. "Not all species can survive long term. Some extinguish themselves, some stagnate. You continue to grow, despite difficulties. That is fascinating. John's stomach tightened. He had always felt small in the universe, just another human trying to make sense of his tiny life. But now, they were calling him interesting. Humanity was admired. Why me? John asked, his voice soft. I'm just me. One person. How does that matter? Lyra paused. Her eyes seemed to glow faintly. Because you act like humans do. You improvised during the storm. You survived using your instincts and intelligence. You are a representation of your species' potential. That is why you matter. John swallowed hard, feeling a strange mix of fear and pride. Okay. So you saved me. But why not just leave me? Or take me somewhere safe? Why all this explanation? Why? Why? Lyra's gaze softened. Understanding is important. You will need to make choices soon. Choices that could affect many lives, not just your own. We prepare you because your kind will face challenges larger than this storm, challenges that require trust, courage, and imagination. John nodded slowly, absorbing her words. The thought of responsibility pressed down on him, heavier than any gravity he had ever felt. And, you think I'm ready? Lyra's smile returned, calm and assured. You have begun. That is enough. The medbed beneath him retracted slightly, lowering him to stand on a smooth floor. John noticed that the floor seemed to shimmer beneath his feet, adapting to weight and movement. He felt grounded, yet strangely light, as if the ship itself welcomed him. Lyra motioned for him to follow. Come, I will show you more. They walked through wide corridors of glowing panels and transparent walls, revealing a ship alive with motion. Crew members of various alien species worked silently, moving with grace and precision. Each seemed aware of the other's actions without words, communicating through subtle gestures and shared understanding. John marveled. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. Lyra's eyes reflected amusement. We study. Yes, we learn. But we also create. Survival is not enough. Observation, without action, is incomplete. They entered a large chamber, where a holographic display projected a map of nearby star systems. Points of light blinked, each representing a human colony, an asteroid field, or a distant nebula. John recognized the layout of his own system, including the colony he had been assigned to monitor. That's my colony, he said, pointing. It's close to the nebula. Lyra's eyes followed. Yes. The nebula storm that damaged your ship is only one threat. There are more. You humans often underestimate your environment. John swallowed. The pride he had felt moments ago was replaced with tension. What do you mean? There is a cluster of rogue asteroids heading toward your colony, Lyra said. If unimpeded, they will cause destruction. Your people may not survive. John's heart sank. That's impossible. How could I? Lyra touched his arm gently. You will not act alone. We propose a joint mission. You bring your instincts, your creativity. We provide technology and guidance. Together, we may succeed. John took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. The responsibility was enormous, but he also sensed an opportunity to prove what humanity could do. Not just to the aliens, but to himself. What would I have to do? He asked, voice trembling slightly. Lyra smiled gently. Plan, decide, act. Adapt when the unexpected arises. That is what makes humans remarkable. That is why we chose you. John nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try. I'll do it. Lyra's eyes seemed to shine brighter. Good. Courage is the first step. Understanding comes next. You will learn quickly. And you will not be alone. As they returned to the medbay for final preparations, John reflected on what he had learned. Humanity was small, fragile, and unpredictable, but it was also clever, resilient, and full of hope. If he could channel those qualities, he might not only save his colony, but also show the Oralis what humans were capable of. That night, John lay on the medbed again, staring at the stars through the ship's window. He thought of Earth, of his crew, of the colony that might be in danger, and he realized, with a mixture of fear and excitement, that his life was no longer just about survival. It was about responsibility, courage, and the chance to show that humanity could face the vastness of space and thrive. And somewhere nearby, Lyra watched him quietly, her eyes reflecting pride and hope. In the silence of the ship, two species, human and Auralis, prepared to face the unknown together. The hum of the Auralis ship surrounded John as he stood in the command chamber. The holographic map of the asteroid cluster glowed before him, each rock a tiny threat moving with silent intent. He had spent hours studying the trajectories, consulting with Lyra and the alien crew. The challenge was enormous, yet he felt a spark of excitement. This was not just survival, it was a chance to prove humanity's value. Lyra approached, her calm presence grounding him. The cluster is unstable. Your instincts will guide our technology. The plan is simple, yet precise. You will act where machines cannot anticipate. John nodded, trying to steady his racing heart. He knew the aliens were capable of incredible calculations, but it was human intuition, the ability to think creatively and act under pressure that would make the difference. The Oralis crew began final preparations. Their sleek ships glided into position, energy shields shimmering as they calibrated their controls. John stepped into a pilot seat in the lead craft, his hands resting on the controls. The ship responded immediately, almost as if it recognized his presence. Remember, Lyra's voice came through the communication link. The cluster is unpredictable. Trust your instincts and adapt quickly. John took a deep breath, gripping the controls. The cluster loomed ahead, a jagged wall of rock drifting through space. Some asteroids spun slowly, others moved in erratic patterns, pulled by invisible forces. The colony's location was behind the cluster, just beyond the nearest nebula, vulnerable if even a single large asteroid broke off course. Here we go, John muttered to himself. The first maneuver required precise timing. He guided the lead drone toward a group of spinning asteroids, using its gravitational emitters to subtly adjust their paths. The ship vibrated as energy flowed through the controls. For a moment, everything seemed calm. Then one of the larger asteroids broke free, spinning toward the colony at alarming speed. Now! John shouted into the comm. He calculated quickly, moving the drone into the asteroid's path. Using a combination of thrusters and energy pulses, he nudged it slightly, enough to prevent catastrophe but not enough to destabilize the others. The asteroid shifted, missing the colony by mere kilometers. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind. Good. You see the possibilities others miss. Continue. John's hands moved instinctively, reacting to each sudden change in trajectory. The cluster seemed alive, as if testing his ability to adapt. He coordinated with the Oralis ships, directing their energy shields to stabilize smaller rocks, while his drone handled the larger threats. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by the hum of the ships and the occasional call from Lyra. John felt his focus sharpening. His mind worked faster, imagining patterns and possibilities, predicting movements that even the most advanced AI could not. He realized that this was humanity's strength, the ability to improvise, to create solutions in chaos. One particularly large asteroid spun dangerously close to the colony. It was massive, too heavy for the energy emitters alone. John paused, thinking. He remembered an old principle from piloting drills back on Earth sometimes. You have to take a calculated risk. He activated the ship's auxiliary thrusters and guided the drone directly into the asteroid's path, using its momentum to nudge it away from the colony. The maneuver was tense. A slight miscalculation could have sent the asteroid in a new direction, but John's instincts proved true. The rock shifted, its trajectory altered just enough to avoid disaster. "Excellent," Lyra said, her voice filled with pride. "You humans see what others cannot. You trust in possibilities. That is why you succeed." John allowed himself a brief smile, though he knew the mission was not over. More asteroids continued to drift from the cluster, each a potential threat. His hands ached from controlling the drone, but he refused to stop. The colony's safety depended on him. Suddenly, a wave of smaller asteroids moved in an unexpected pattern, as if the cluster itself was reacting to their interventions. John realized he could not manage them individually. He needed a plan that combined human ingenuity with Auralist technology. He paused, thinking quickly. Using the main energy grid of the lead drone, he created a synchronized pulse that nudged multiple asteroids simultaneously. It required precise timing, and the margin for error was almost non-existent. He took a deep breath, visualized the paths, and activated the pulse. The effect was immediate. The smaller asteroids shifted in perfect harmony, their new trajectories avoiding the colony entirely. The larger rocks followed their adjusted paths as John guided them with subtle corrections. "Your creativity is remarkable," Lyra said. "We rely on calculation, yet you find solutions we cannot predict." John felt a surge of pride. He realized that this mission was not just about saving the colony, it was a demonstration of humanity's unique abilities. In a universe governed by logic and calculation, humans brought intuition, courage, and imagination. The final challenge appeared. A massive asteroid, larger than any before, barreled toward the colony at high speed. Even the combined energy of the Auralist fleet could not divert it alone. John's mind raced. He remembered the training drills, the principles of leverage and momentum, and the countless hours spent improvising in tight situations. He devised a daring plan. Using the lead drone, he would attach a kinetic tether to the asteroid, then use the ship's thrusters to pull it gradually into a safer trajectory. It was risky. Any failure could destroy both the drone and the colony, but John trusted his instincts. He maneuvered the drone carefully, closing in on the massive rock. The tether latched successfully. He engaged the thrusters, feeling the strain as the asteroid resisted. Slowly, steadily, he adjusted its path, inch by inch, guiding it away from the colony. Sweat dripped down his face, but he did not falter. Finally, the asteroid moved into a safe corridor, its path now clear of the colony. John exhaled deeply, relief washing over him. The mission was nearly complete. Lyra's voice filled the calm. "You have done it. Humanity's courage and creativity have saved lives today. You are a testament to your species' potential." John allowed himself a smile, exhausted but exhilarated. He looked at the stars through the ship's window, seeing the distant glow of the colony, safe and intact. For the first time, he truly understood what Lyra had meant. Humanity was not just survivors, it was innovators, leaders, and problem solvers, capable of facing challenges no one else could. The Auralist crew gathered around him, offering nods of respect and acknowledgement. John felt a sense of connection, not just with them, but with his species. He realized that humanity's strength lay not in technology alone, but in the ability to combine intelligence with courage, emotion, and imagination. As the fleet prepared to leave the cluster, John reflected on the journey. He had woken up disoriented, rescued by an alien nurse, and thrust into a situation beyond anything he could have imagined. Yet, through courage, quick thinking, and trust in his instincts, he had succeeded. Lyra approached, her eyes shimmering warmly. "You humans, you do not see your own strength. But today, you have shown it clearly." John nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. We did it. Together." "Yes," Lyra agreed. "Together. That is how species survive. That is how civilizations grow. You have proven that humanity has a place among the stars." The ship continued its journey through the galaxy, leaving the asteroid cluster behind. John gazed out at the nebulae, feeling both small and significant at the same time. The universe was vast, full of danger and mystery. But he no longer felt helpless. Humanity had shown it could rise to any challenge. That night, John rested on the medbed, exhausted but content. Lyra stood nearby, watching quietly, a silent guardian. In the calm of the oarless ship, two species, human and alien, shared a moment of understanding, hope, and respect. For John, this was only the beginning. The stars held countless challenges, and humanity had already proven it could face them. He knew that wherever the universe tested humans, they would rise not just to survive, but to thrive. And somewhere deep in the ship's humming core, the Orless observed, learning more about humanity with each passing moment, inspired by the species that refused to be ordinary. John closed his eyes, imagining Earth, the colony, and the vast galaxy beyond. He felt a sense of purpose unlike anything he had ever known. Humanity's story was just beginning, and he was proud to be a part of it. As the stars stretched endlessly ahead, John Parker realized one truth that echoed in his mind. Humans were small. Yes, but capable of greatness beyond measure. And with courage, creativity, and determination, they could face any challenge the universe sent their way.